Well, it's been a couple of months, but we're back.
Hi.
Welcome to This Week in Film. Welcome to This Year in Film. Ooh,
Oh, wow.
the biannual podcast where we get together and talk about the movies we've seen. I'm Nick Panunto, joined as always by Midwest Matt Lauer
Hi, everybody.
via the cellular telephone. How's it going, Matt?
It's going all right. How are you, Nick?
It's really been a long time. I think the last time we got together was when we did our commentary track for Twister.
Yeah, that really blew us away.
I get it. It's been a while since I've seen any movies, but this week we were both able to see the latest Marvel movie, Black Panther.
Yeah.
What did you think of Black Panther?
Altogether, I thought it was really good. I don't think it was perfect, but I walked away really happy. As far as the Marvel movies go, I feel like it was the smartest in terms of conflict and character. You know, the villain in it and the main character and the balance of a lot of other characters, all female characters, really were strong. And
Yeah.
they all had good motives.
They all had good motives and they all had something to do.
Yeah.
And when they didn't have something to do, that wasn't forced.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of a slow burn. You know, it wasn't cut from one action scene to another action scene kind of thing. But I found myself getting more engaged continually throughout the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that the movie has a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes, and when the final battle starts, I didn't realize that it was the end of the movie. I thought it was the middle, so the movie kind of cruises, like flies by.
Yeah, I know Marvel's not exactly known for its villains.
Yeah, the villains
But
are usually the weak point.
Yeah, and I felt like with this, maybe if I think about it longer, I could come up with someone else, but I feel like this is probably my second favorite comic movie villain after Heath Ledger's Joker.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because I found it. He needed some more screen time. That's probably my biggest complaint of the whole movie is that I would have liked the villain's character to have more time to talk. Because when he did, I actually found myself going like, hey, he's got some pretty legit points.
Yeah. I guess we should just go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the Black Panther yet, we're about to ruin it for you. You've been warned. I hated that he died. I hated the way that he died. I thought that was kind of lame.
Like that he did die?
That he did die, yeah. Like they didn't even try to. Like it was as if he got stabbed by the sword, and then he was like, "Well, I guess I'm kind of a good guy now."
Yeah, I don't know. I actually had I kind of felt like he stuck to his guns in terms of saying like, I'm not going to be satisfied with things being different from the approach I have to making change. And then when he says, like, I'll die like all the slaves that jumped off the boat, I felt like that was actually a pretty good pretty good like last line for a villain to have.
Yeah, no, it was a great line. I don't like that he turned into Black Panther to fight Black Panther at the end. That falls into that Marvel trap of whoever I'm fighting has the same superpowers. Like Iron Man fought a giant Iron Man, Ant-Man fought another shrinking man, Black Panther fights another Black Panther. It was, but the fight itself was pretty cool. Like it was fun to watch him go at it. But
Yeah,
like what you said before, their motives, like the reason that they're doing everything, is what propels the story along, which is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah, and at the end of the movie, they're like some of the arcs aren't exactly 180s. You know, it's not like, oh, I went from being this person to being completely the opposite, but kind of meeting in the middle where, you know, the main character says, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be so isolationist anymore. But it's not like he's like, let's go take over the world. He's just like, all right, let's, you know, everyone else has a point here. Let's get involved with other stuff and still do it in a sane way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Glad we agree on that.
Yeah.
Did you, you know, you were just talking about that last fight, and I've heard from a couple other people kind of some complaints about how things actually looked. I felt like the action was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I felt like I was able to follow what was going on. You know, a lot better than some other Marvel movies, and way better than anything that's edited like Transformers or something like that.
Right.
But I've heard some complaints, and I wondered if that was actually that I had seen it in 3D. Did you see it in 3D?
No, I saw it in just regular 2D. I thought it looked good. Like some of the special effects, especially in that end fight where the rhinos start attacking, looked like you could definitely tell that it was that it wasn't real. And there
didn't actually train rhinoceroses to fight people.
There were a few points in the movie where I would see something in the background, like you could tell that they were standing in front of a green screen, but it was never enough to take me out of the movie or ruin the viewing. It just kind of made me question what I was seeing a little more.
Okay,
because
you know, I did feel that way a couple times when they were on the water platform. You know, on the side of the cliff.
Yeah.
Where they did the ritual thing where they'd fight each other.
Yeah.
In those moments, I was like, well, is that a matte painting? What's going on in the back here?
Right, yeah.
Like, hi, I'm in Delaware. You know? But, and actually that was pretty noticeable, but I felt like the action scenes I didn't feel like I got taken out at all. So.
No, I thought the fights were all fun. Like, especially the fight where T'Challa gets his ass kicked by Killmonger. Like, I love that. Like, that felt like the next Rocky movie, which I'm excited about.
Well, speaking of that, I've never seen anything with Michael B. Jordan in it.
No?
You know, I haven't seen Creed. The most I've seen of him are clips that are reviewing, what do you call it? Fantastic. Fantastic.
Fantastic for
Yeah. And you know, I haven't seen that movie, but I've seen enough clips of it to go like, this is awful, and to have Michael B. Jordan associated with that. And so I was actually really excited that he was as good as he is in this movie.
No, he's a good actor. Did you ever watch the show The Wire?
No.
You should check out The Wire. It's very good. But
I think I tried watching the first episode, but didn't get into it
yet. He's in that, but he's like a kid. But you could tell that he stands out more from the other kids.
Nice.
And Creed is great. You should watch Creed.
Well, someone made me watch all the other Rocky movies. So
in a day.
I get around to it. I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, no, Creed was awesome. The sequel, they just announced pre-production on that. Creed 2, Rocky 8.
No, I heard that the director's not coming back for that one though.
Right? Yeah, he's the one who directed Black Panther.
And here we are, full circle.
Ryan Coogler, I believe his name is. The guy has a vision for film. Yep.
Well, having only seen this one, I'm willing to agree based on.
I saw Creed. I didn't see Fruitvale Station, which he directed, but I heard great things.
He's a young guy too. I heard he's like 30, 31.
Yeah, I guess. That's young.
Sounds young to me. I didn't accomplish any movies by my 31st year.
No, me neither.
Nor have I since.
I've done just as many.
So I've heard a couple people say that in terms of female characters, this movie's like what Wonder Woman should have been. And I loved Wonder Woman, and I like the kind of innocence and stuff that she brings to that movie, that story, and the development there. And this is a pretty interesting counterpart where these women are really informed, like they get what the world's like. But I thought it was a great kind of counterpart to it, to have female figures who are given a lot of attention, where they're really active. I didn't think it took away from any other movies, but I did think it was really exciting to see.
Yeah, no, I thought they were great. Like the one lady who's like the head general. She was great, especially that one scene where after Killmonger takes over and the secret agent lady says, "You're coming with us, right?" And she goes, "No, I serve the crown. Like whoever's sitting there is who I work for." And you can see how torn she is about what she has to do. And then the minute she sees that T'Challa's still alive, she's like, "Screw you, guy! I'm still on his team."
She's like, "Oh, thank God!
Yeah,
I can finally feel good about supporting the throne." And I think that was pretty cool. I think the movie ends up being pretty topical. Having a lot of connections to present day events and isolationism and stuff like that. But it kind of that sort of thing. I'm like, okay, if I'm working for like the FBI or CIA or something like that, what sort of positions people might be in when they see, politicians that are in charge sucking and needing to support them in some way. I thought that was pretty interesting. I felt really excited for her as a character when she got to see that she could be less torn.
Yeah. The current events things were a little heavy-handed in the movie, but not in a poor way. There was one line that the Black Panther says when, oh man, I can't remember what he said. But I was like, oh, this is specifically for Trump. This is specifically being said because of Donald Trump. And it sucks that I can't remember what he was talking about right now. But they were standing in a room when he was talking.
Was that the mid end credit scene?
No, this was during this was during the beginning parts when he first gets home. Like where he I remember now. Great. Awesome. It was when they started talking about it's when a country is going through a change in leadership that other countries will attack it. Like referring, and I took that as referring to the Russian interference with the U.S. election. And even if it's not a direct coup, that's the time when a country or society is weakest, is during a transitional period like that. And I was like, that's for Donald Trump to hear.
Yeah, I thought there were quite a few things that connected really well, and some were a little heavy-handed. Not so much that it did bother me though, like in the end credit scene where he's talking about, building. He doesn't say walls, but boundaries.
Oh yeah, building barriers. Yeah.
Yeah, and how they should build bridges instead. And it was pretty. You could say heavy-handed, pretty blunt, but I still dug it. And given the conversations that the characters have throughout the movie, I think it still works as a movie. Like even though it's a little bit of like direct social commentary, it still works within the movie because that character has been in a position to be actively thinking about these things and questioning whether or not to open up to other countries or nations or whether to hunker down. So it doesn't seem like real out of place for him to say like anything that's sort of, like the sort of summary you might make where you'd say something that sounds a little dramatic.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Thank you.
I'm nodding too.
I thought.
You did? Uh-oh. I think we're having an issue with Matt's telephone machine.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. Okay. Um,
You froze.
well, there were a couple conversations in the movie that were kind of quick. You know, like the conversation when he's first talking about it with T'Challa, with his friend, who the actor was the guy in Get Out. I wish I could remember anyone's name.
But that's who that guy was.
Yeah. And
I didn't recognize.
They just had a real quick conversation by the rhinoceros pen about whether or not they should take in refugees or anything like that. And that was like, that happened kind of in fast forward.
Yeah.
It was just a real quick conversation, but I still thought altogether it was a really well done kind of conversation throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a good movie. What else have you seen? It's been a long time since we did the show, and there's a lot of movies have come and gone. Did you see Thor Ragnarok?
I saw Thor Ragnarok. I think the last thing I saw before this was The Last Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Which I really enjoyed. I'll I know you know this, but for whatever listeners are listening and might have strong opinions about Star Wars, I'll let it be known I'm not exactly a Star Wars fan, but I really enjoyed it. I thought that there were a fair amount of plot points that kind of went to dead ends, but altogether they, for me, kind of worked in terms of giving me the experience and the feeling like I don't exactly know what's going to happen. That was nice to kind of feel, because I felt like I was actually seeing a Star Wars movie not knowing what's next. So I think that's as close as I could get to seeing maybe the original 3 movies the way other people did.
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed watching the movie, but much like with Rogue One, I have a lot of issues with it. Mm-hmm. Number one is that it seems like the director, who also wrote the script, took everything that was important about the first one, as far as the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
He took many of the things that the Force Awakens sets up for future movies and just says, we're not going to worry about that stuff. We're going to worry about this new stuff that I want to talk about. Mm-hmm. Like the mystery of Rey's parents and hey, spoiler alert for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. But when he says, your parents are nobodies, you know that, and I know that, and so like as a viewer, you're like, oh well, I guess I don't have to worry about them anymore. Or the first one sets up who's the Emperor Snoke character. Who's this big bad guy? Oh man, I can't wait to see him. Oh, he's dead.
See, I really enjoyed kind of both of those things, especially the first one, especially that her parents are nobody. I think that might, that could still change, if J.J. Abrams wants to go, oh, he was lying. That's possible. But I actually really like the idea that it's not this tiny little incestuous place where everybody's related to everybody and everyone has to be a Skywalker or something. It's like, no, you don't have to have this context and this sort of like, how lots of movies have the prophecies and stuff like that where, you're determined and bound to be this way. It's more like, oh, you can become this and do this without having it be determined by the, fates or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it was kind of cool. And I thought it was, given all of her interest in legend and mythos and stuff, I thought it was exciting to see her kind of smacked in the face with that, where it's like, oh, wait, what? I do. This is all on my shoulders. I'm not like destined to be something awesome. And the disappointment. I mean, not that I'm just sitting there hoping terrible things for characters, but to see her kind of get the disappointing news that like, no, you're not connected to someone important. I thought it was actually kind of neat.
Yeah. I didn't care for it. What else was it? Oh, and then I also didn't like that many of the main characters didn't have anything to do all movie. Like Poe Dameron had nothing to do, and they just kept force feeding us that the Laura Dern space battle, where the rebellion is slowly getting reduced to like one or two people who are going to be the only people left to fight the rebellion. Sorry, somebody walked through the room. I was very distracted while trying to say that. Like, the rebellion is like one ship now.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, I imagine that they'll still get some sort of like responses from other people somehow. But my biggest problem with that, and it did kind of irk me, was that she didn't just tell Poe, like, hey man, calm your tits. We have a plan. Just like tell him what's going on.
It's like at a certain point, you got to trust the people that work for you. To be like, listen, we've got a plan. Like you just said, exactly everything you just said.
Well, and he wasn't so low on the totem pole that it would make no sense for her to go like, hey, you know what? I'll let you know what's going on. You're kind of important. Instead, it was just like, stay in your place. And then kind of behind the scenes being like, by the way, he's pretty cool. I like him. We're just going to keep him out of the loop for no reason.
Yes. I guess you could tell. We're a little rusty at doing the show.
So, what other kind of things did you? I know there are probably a handful of things you didn't really enjoy, and I'd want to know those. But like, what did you actually get to enjoy as a even as a fan who did want to see things play out? What parts excited you or had fun with?
Visually, the movie was amazing. Like, it looked fantastic. Like, just like Rogue One. Rogue One looks amazing. And if you just take it as like if you don't pay attention to the broader story points and just watch it as like things are going to explode, it's great. The same thing with this one. Like, for instance, the end fight with Luke and Kylo Ren. I thought that was so cool until you found out that Luke wasn't really there. Like visually, the movie was just terrific. I loved looking at it.
Yeah, how'd you like the scene where they are in Snoke's office and they're fighting all those red, whatever they are, Imperial Guard or?
I thought that looked cool too.
Yeah.
Like, the movie looks cool, but there was very little substance behind a lot of it, which is not a terrible thing. Like, it's still better than any of the prequels, which is what I have to compare everything to. But is it a story that I want to watch again? Not really. Like, I don't really want to see it again.
No?
No, whereas with The Force Awakens, I've seen that a bunch of times. Like, is that?
I saw that a second time before going to see The Last Jedi. I feel like I do want to see The Last Jedi again, but I don't think I can have quite the same experience because I do, now that I've seen it, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But and as I was watching it, I kind of went back and forth on some things because I did have some complaints where I'm like, Luke Skywalker. Sorry, took me a while to place the name. Most people probably have it right on the tip of their tongue. That guy,
Luke Walker.
Yeah, that guy. He was kind of a whiny bitch, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's what I didn't like about Star Wars to begin with, is that he's always a whiny bitch. So it kind of works. Okay, now he's just a old grizzled whiny bitch. But then, he's kind of given some thought to things, and I actually felt like by the end of it, I felt like where he was, and even the kind of quick character arc changes that go on throughout the movie, specifically towards the end of it, I'm like, okay, that actually works for me. I feel like he's kind of how he might be, and then he gets a little perspective and goes, all right, maybe maybe there is something to take a second look at here and some hope to have. And I was like, okay, cool. That worked for me, but how about you?
A lot of the Luke stuff I didn't like. For instance, like when Rey shows up and hands him his lightsaber, he just throws it away as if it was meaningless to him, which is what I take for like a lot of the movie is that the director, was it Ryan Johnson? Is he the director? He got handed this movie and he goes, "No, I don't want this. We're going to do things my way." I also didn't like that the reveal of like how Kylo Ren became Kylo Ren was because one night Luke Skywalker almost murdered a child.
Do you think that that's... I guess I didn't feel like that was the case. Like I felt like he was kind of teetering on the edge. And I guess it's more implicit or like reading between the lines, but it felt for me like he is supposed to have been teetering on the edge and really close to going to the dark side. And Luke got really scared. And then at that point, like maybe Luke actually was the thing that was keeping him just enough teetering on that edge to stop him from going over. And then when he kind of saw like, oh, well, here's how the Jedi are actually going to take care of me. This guy's getting ready to take me out. Just kind of tipping the scales.
Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't feel that way for you?
No, it just felt like there should have been more to it than just that one night for both of them. You know, like there should have been a build-up. And also, I didn't care for the flashback. Star Wars doesn't have flashbacks. And this movie had a flashback.
Yeah, I guess that's out of character for the Star Wars movies. I don't know. I don't remember the original 3 having midichlorians, but those came up at some point. We don't need to talk about that, though.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, how about Yoda?
Yoda, I thought that was a neat little thing. Like, oh look, Yoda's here. Fun. I imagine they wanted to put Obi-Wan there, but they would have to make a cartoon version of him, like they did for what's his name in Rogue One, General Tarkin. And they didn't want to make a cartoon Obi-Wan for 5 seconds.
Yeah. I kind of liked the conversation, kind of the ongoing conversation throughout the movie about the Force, and where Yoda came into it and kind of put a little more perspective on like a less idealized view of it. Like it's just this amazing, great thing. It's like a good or bad, black and white kind of thing, and kind of loosened up from all that. And I don't know. I felt like this movie took a more nuanced look, or like kind of like, let's take this conversation about the Force to the next level, where we're not just making it about being good or bad, but what are we doing with it overall? And I don't know if that's how it reads to anyone else, but or to fans. But I do feel like if you're looking for like a good versus bad movie, this movie isn't it.
No, you're absolutely right about that, and I think that might be what I'm looking for with a Star Wars movie. Is here's a very clear line between who are the good guys and here are the bad guys, and our main bad guy keeps pretending that he's good to do bad things. Like he genuinely wants to help Rey, but he wants her to be part of the dark side. I don't know.
Well, see, even his character, I feel like he's kind of like Yoda in a way. He's like, forget about the good side and the bad side. Forget about dark and light. But instead he's like, yeah, let's rule it and make it whatever together, make it our way versus like the dark side or the light side. And she's kind of like, well, wait, no, like that's not a good idea either. So I don't know. See, like I really enjoy that kind of ambiguity and maybe actually just seeing Star Wars get into that a bit, because I feel like it has been so black and white that watching it kind of clash is really interesting.
I think something like that would work if there was a chance that Rey would turn to the dark side. But as a viewer watching the movie, you know that she isn't going to become the bad guy or join forces with the bad guy.
Yeah, I think that's true. I don't think I ever questioned if she would go to the dark side.
Because that when Return of the Jedi first came out in theaters, there was a real big rumor that Luke was going to turn to the dark side, because in all the promotional stuff he was always wearing black. And I would love to watch a Star Wars movie thinking, oh man, imagine if Luke does turn to the dark side. You know, it's like with Black Panther. You know that Black Panther's not gonna die in the Black Panther movie, especially because he's already in the advertisements for the Infinity War movie. You know, so I mean, it's about the reason that Black Panther worked. It isn't because you're like worried or whether or not he was gonna die. You know, he's gonna live and he's gonna win, but it's about how he wins and how he survives. Even if he does like die for 20 minutes in the movie, he's never gone, and you know that he's going to come back. It's the same thing with a Star Wars movie. We want to see the characters. We want to see what they're going to do, not so much do against type.
See, and I guess like maybe because I enjoy the oh, for God's sake, now I can't even remember his name.
Kylo Ren?
Yeah. Yeah, I like him so much I can't even remember his name. Because I find him to be the more interesting person, the most interesting character of the last two movies. That I'm kind of looking at things at from his perspective a bit more. And I didn't question whether or not Rey would go dark, but I am interested in seeing, you know, how he might go and watching him kind of go back and forth. And I actually find that pretty compelling. And when it comes to Rey, I guess I'm questioning a lot less of whether or not she's going to go dark, but more of, is she going to be able to reach this guy? Kind of like while I'm watching her try to reach him and try to save him, I'm getting a better understanding of what sort of struggle Luke Skywalker must have been going through when he was his teacher.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, you're so close to getting him, but you're not going to be able to do it. And then it falls apart. And she's like, oh, man. And I'm like, don't give up on him. And she's just like, I'm good now. And you're going to be good. And that's the end of it. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see what happens in the next movie. And I'm still interested.
Yeah. It's a lot better.
Sound disinterested.
I still want to know what's going to happen. I just want a Star Wars movie to be everything I want it to be.
Uh-huh.
And all the new ones, The Force Awakens has come the closest to that. But it's still a decent movie. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's not garbage or anything like that, but it definitely makes you think about stuff, which is what you want a movie to do.
Yeah.
But as far as like liking it, there's like so much boring stuff in it. Like the whole Casino Planet was a waste of time. The Benicio del Toro was a waste of time. You know, it was just filler because they didn't know what to do with that character and his new girlfriend.
Well, and now that you're reaching across the aisle, I'll say the same thing. I actually think that whole thing could have been done better. I like it as a mission that's going to fail. You know, I like that there is a mission that fails and you can't just count on things to work, and that a couple things are going wrong at the same time. But I think that whole thing could have been done so much better because I think it was so rushed that it ends up seeming even more unimportant and unnecessary. Yeah. And I hate Rose, or whatever her name is, Rosa.
I think Rose is right.
either way, I wanted her dead from right in the beginning. I'm just like, this chick is annoying.
Yeah.
And then when they get to that planet, it's so like Finn is in love with it immediately, and instead of having any sort of conversation that's got any depth or nuance to it, she's just like, it's bad. Look, slave kids and like gladiator type animal things, and I'm like,
which are things that are great.
This is this is pretty weak. And then they find the guy with the thing on his lapel, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't get a chance to talk to him. Oh, good. Here's another guy that can break us out." And I'm like, "Well, that's convenient."
Oh man, I forgot completely about that guy. If they were there for a totally different guy.
Right. Well, and at first I was like, "Oh, this must really be the guy." And for some reason, that other guy was wearing his like flower button or whatever. Yeah. And nope, it's just another guy who. There's only one person that could break you out of here, except there happens to be this other one who happens to be in your cell.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm with you on the Benicio del Toro thing, which is a shame because I think Benicio del Toro is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. When he first showed up, I was like, oh, kick-ass Benicio del Toro. And then, oh, he's got nothing to do. Yeah, the whole Finn storyline was kind of weak in this one. It's like they wanted to do something with him, but they just didn't know what. So they just threw him to the wolves. Like if I'm almost shocked that they didn't kill him off with the way that the director handled all the other stuff he didn't care about.
Yeah, I guess. Well, and that's funny because I was kind of like, oh, I hope they do. Like as he was flying towards the cannon, I'm like, okay, this guy can go out, doing something helpful. Yeah. And instead he gets stopped by idiot girl. Yeah. And then she's like, yeah, I stopped you because I love you. And I'm like, well, you're a selfish idiot. He was just about to save everybody, you dumb jerk.
You've doomed everyone now.
Yeah. And then you fucking go unconscious and practically die yourself. So, and then of course they're like dragging her back in like, oh, she'll still live. And I'm like, oh, that's too bad. Anyway.
Yeah, and the rebellion is 15 people now. They have one giant ship, and Princess Leia, who they had a perfect excuse to like write her out.
Yeah, I can understand that's sort of a touchy thing, but it as far as the storyline goes, I feel like it would have been a just pretty sensible move to say she's gone.
Yeah,
and then they don't have to worry about making a CGI version of her. Or anything
right.
Like that.
Yeah. I mean, they had a perfect opportunity to just let her go.
Yeah.
And then she uses some super power that she doesn't know how to control.
Well, didn't you know the Force can make you fly?
Well, I mean, she was just using the Force in zero gravity.
Yeah.
She didn't move herself. She moved the ship.
Well, and we've seen Princess Leia use the Force so much too that of course she's got it harnessed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'd take some issue with that too.
It's a good thing Luke spent all that time with her. Training her in case she got sucked out in the outer space.
Right. Did you see, I don't know if your Black Panther screening had the Solo movie preview before it. Have you seen the preview for the Solo?
Yeah.
That did nothing for me.
I agree.
How about you?
I agree. I was like, this looks boring.
Yeah. Like, this is the best you could come up with. You've got like 40 seconds to sell me on a movie, and the best 40 seconds you can come up with is
Woody Harrelson
garbage.
Putting together a crew.
Yeah.
I think, it shows just how great of an actor Harrison Ford is, because when he slips into something, you're like, all right, I'm on board with you, Harrison.
That's exactly what I think.
Although I did see somebody posted online a version of the Solo movie cut with Beastie Boys' Sabotage played over top of it, and it looks like a way better movie.
Well, I think anything looks like a better movie if you put sabotage over it.
I'll send you a link for it because you're going to be like, wow, this movie looks awesome.
I'll check it out. Well, I feel like now I don't think I've even seen the original Star Wars movies more than like maybe once or twice, and long ago. And again,
far away.
Anyway, point being, Han Solo, he's not really all that boisterous. Like he's just kind of nonchalantly full of himself. And I feel like in that preview, it was like, I'm going to be the best. Yeah. I'm so awesome. And I'm like, isn't Han Solo more like, I know I'm the best, so I'll just wink at you and shrug and be awesome?
Pretty much. And also, he's not a good guy. He's a bad guy almost. He doesn't start doing the right thing until he meets Luke and Obi-Wan.
He's just a smuggler, right?
Yeah, he's just a smuggler who has some like crazy outstanding debts to gangsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip that movie.
He's a cool guy, but he's not a good guy.
And he's not walking around going like, everybody look at how cool I am.
No, but he should be.
Well, I guess that's what he's going to do in this movie. So.
I saw, did you see Dunkirk?
I did.
What did you think of Dunkirk?
I gotta think back here a ways. I saw it in the theater, and I found it to be a pretty engaging experience, and there were times where with the planes chasing each other that like I found myself leaning in the seat to try to like look around.
Oh, really?
Like to see around things and to try to follow the plane better.
Uh-huh.
So I would say it was pretty exciting in that way.
It took me.
I know. Go ahead.
It took me a while to figure out what was going on with the timeline of the movie.
Okay.
Like at the beginning where it says 1 hour, 1 week, 1 day. I was like, I don't know what that means. And then about 20 minutes before the end of the movie, I was like, oh. Oh, I get it now. I have to watch you again.
I've heard a lot of people say that, including movie reviewers and stuff. Like I've heard a lot of folks say that it took them a little while to figure out that's what was going on.
Yeah, it didn't click at all with me.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that either you kind of, it just happens to be the way you're looking at it, or you don't.
Yeah, and in that sense, it was great. It was awesome to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I liked almost everything about it, except for like the Tom Hardy story at the end where he just like can suddenly fly around forever with no fuel,
with no gas,
doing like tricks and shit, and then like instead of parachuting out, he kind of lands the plane and then shoots it. I'm like, well, if the plane's gonna crash anyway, maybe you shouldn't give yourself up to German soldiers.
He didn't.
Just a thought.
Use your invisible gas and just fly home. Yeah, he is flying around forever up there.
No kidding. Yeah. So other than that, I did really enjoy Dunkirk. You mentioned Thor Ragnarok earlier.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I liked Thor a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. I kind of wish that it was weirder than it was. Like I wanted more weirdness.
I thought it was pretty darn weird, but I guess that was one of the flavors of it that made it a lot of fun. So wanting more, I can kind of understand.
I thought it was great. I kind of want more of it.
I'll agree with that. I kind of walked out of that one going, because I never really cared for Thor. Like I saw the first movie and didn't like it. I never bothered with the second one, and I just didn't really care. Kind of like the opposite of Iron Man, where I'm like, okay, when I saw the first Iron Man, I was like, okay, I'd be happy to see this guy on his own without, any Avenger stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then Iron Man 2 came out and I said, well, the hell with that. But Thor's kind of gone in the opposite direction where I'm like, hey, if they just kept making Thor movies and they were kind of like this, I'd enjoy them. There wasn't a lot in terms of story payoff, but in terms of just fun and entertainment, I was like, yeah, I'm having a good time here.
Yeah.
It's a good popcorn movie.
Yeah, I agree. It was fun. It was funny. I thought the Hulk was used perfectly. Just thumbs up all around.
Yeah, not like not a movie that's gonna make you think.
Right, yeah.
Not something real thought provoking, but fun, and like I kind of walked out of it kind of replaying some of the scenes in my head, and it was just, I guess, a lot of collections of just scenes kind of thrown together, but
yeah,
they're all pretty fun.
They're all fun and they all work together, and that's all a movie like that needs to be. It doesn't have to be not everything needs to be the Dark Knight.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if the next one is similar, but they manage to have a more engaging kind of villain. I thought Cate Blanchett looked good. I thought she was kind of, I mean, she's a great actress, so I thought she was fine, but I didn't feel like the villain side of things really moved that forward a whole lot. So if they can tighten that up, that'd be awesome too. But if it were a very similar experience, I'd be happy to go do it again.
Yeah, me too. And then finally, did you see Blade Runner 2049?
No, and I've never seen the original either.
Oh, okay. Well, then we won't get into it too much. The new Blade Runner is a visual feast.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous to look at, but the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I know what I'm watching is good, but I don't understand any of this. I'm just going to enjoy the pretty pictures.
Okay. I guess you wouldn't be able to tell me then whether or not you need to see the original in order to enjoy
it. You probably don't need to see the original, but you should still watch it. It's a good movie. It's just really boring. Like you gotta be in the right mindset to watch it. Every time I try to watch it, I fall asleep.
That is not the most ringing endorsement.
I know.
I remember trying to watch it once. My mom and I actually sat down when I was probably like 18 or so, and we sat down to watch it, and maybe like 20 minutes in, we were like, this isn't doing anything for me.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
It's really slow. Like, I've only been able to sit through the whole thing one time. It's kind of like 2001 A Space Odyssey, where every time I've tried to watch that, the movie's so boring. But then there's like this one time where I was in the right zone for it. I was like, this movie is amazing.
I have had the desire to be in that zone. That's as close as I've come to watching 2001. I've listened to reviews of it, and they've been really intriguing. But sitting down to actually watch the movie, I've just been like, man, I wish I felt like doing that sometime.
Yeah,
and I haven't.
It was kind of a slog until I saw it that one time, and now I feel like I could watch it every day.
Really?
Yeah, like something.
Try that out for a week.
I don't want to, where it goes through all the crazy LSD parts. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to have to wrap it up because you're off to see another movie.
That's right.
What are you going to see?
I will be going to see Annihilation.
Well, then next week.
Based on the first novel of the Southern Reach trilogy.
Next week, we'll have to hear all about it.
All right.
6 months.
Next August in film.
Yeah. Do you have anything to plug, Matt? Anything you want the people out there to look at?
Nah, nothing's coming to me right now. Give me 6 months to think about it.
All right, we'll get back to you then. I also don't have anything to plug, so you're welcome. I guess that's gonna do it. Sorry it took us so long to get a new episode out, but life finds a way.
Oh, there's something we can review.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park movie coming out in the summer.
Yeah, next time you come back out here, we'll do a commentary on the first Jurassic Park.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be a good time.
And if you have a movie you want us to do a commentary on, let us know. We'll figure it out. That sounds like a fun idea.
We could do that this way too.
Yeah.
Like we could definitely watch a movie together over the phone.
Yeah, that doesn't sound weird at all.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Well, Matt, it was great talking to you.
Good talking to you, Nick.
And we'll see you next week in film.